Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. All right, so I'm gonna plug in a second, but I wanna show you a clip real quick of a press conference. It's from a few days ago, actually. I'm gonna try to catch up here, not by going everything that's been reported since I stopped making videos about the search for Jayme Closs because of the pipe bomber, but just try to summarize and just do some house cleaning and focus on one story that seemed the most interesting. It's actually asked about in this press conference, even though he doesn't really comment on it, but he doesn't completely dismiss it. And then just go from there. Let me just show you. There's a ton to go through, but most of the people that are following this know it all by now. Not all of it, but Radar Online is where I'm focusing. They have the most material right now. I don't know if it's reliable or not, but there's story after story with new stuff that seems to be pretty significant. Again, if it's not real, then it's not significant. But whatever. Here's the clip. Actually, I'll leave myself in there and go like that. Crank it. I don't know. The volume's not very good, I think, on this.
To the conversation this woman had with some locals in town 2 weeks before Jayme's disappearance at this gas station. It was printed in a couple of online publications.
We continue to follow up on leads just like that, and I'm not able to comment on it.
Okay, so you probably couldn't hear too very well. And in fact, when I have my earbuds in, it's only in one ear. But she's asking about a woman who had a conversation with some locals in a gas station a couple of weeks prior to Jayme Closs going missing and the murder of her two parents. That's been reported on a couple of online publications. Could he comment on it? He said no, but they're chasing down all leads just like that. So he didn't entirely dismiss it. And that story is over here. I don't know what other publication is talking about it besides Radar Online, but it's here. And dark twist in missing teen case. No, that's not it. Shoot. Here is that article that that reporter is talking about of the story, the tip. Jayme Closs case break. Police received chilling tip about conversation with strange man. I'll go through that in a little detail in a second, but quickly, just to run through some of the stories that Radar Online has covered, just sort of quickly one at a time. I read most of these, and starting with, according to a source, they always have a source, some kind of unnamed source, but that's either part of the FBI, an FBI source, part of the investigation, a neighbor. I think this was actually a neighbor that said it was Jayme that said help, the word help, that was initially reported very early on. It was her saying that, not the mother, which because initially I thought it was the yelling and stuff. We were sort of told that it was the mother when they broke into the barricaded bathroom minutes before she was killed. I kind of assumed that it was maybe her. And it says, missing teen Jayme Closs screamed for help in a 911 call amid her parents' brutal murders. A neighbor claimed. Cops told her in an exclusive interview. So it was a neighbor, and the police reportedly told the neighbor that. So there's that. These vehicles, this is majorly significant, but it's sort of old news, so I don't want to just regurgitate it, but the orange Dodge Challenger between 2008, 2014, I think there's two different black SUVs, 2006 to 2010 black Ford Edge, and 2004 to 2010 black Acura MDX. These two vehicles were picked up on surveillance from surrounding businesses and I think other homes in that time frame that immediately before, I think before and after the parents were killed. So they've put this out there for the public to keep an eye out for. There is a $50,000 reward now. It was initially $25,000, and actually the Genio, the company where the parents worked, Denise and James Closs, as well as the employees of Genio, pitched in to double it and make it $50,000 reward for, I think, the safe return of Jayme Closs. I don't know the exact parameters. So, you know, the sheriff was asked, the sheriff of Barron County, he was asked, why didn't they just provide still photos from the surveillance footage, you know, of the actual vehicles? And he sort of was vague in his answer, basically saying that they weren't exactly sure of the year of the vehicle, so they thought it was better to provide a range, stock photos, you know, with from 2004 to 2010, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know if that's I think an actual still of the, but they might have been very fuzzy, not clear, and things like that. I don't know. All right, let me keep going. So the Closs family was reclusive before murder, according to neighbors. They kept to themselves largely. FBI source, bombshell, we know 100% that Jayme Closs is alive. That's pretty much old. And they continue to work under that, you know, work under that premise that she's still alive but endangered. I don't know how they would know that. I mean, there's only one logical conclusion that I could come to, that they would know she's alive. And I don't know. I mean, I don't even want to say it, you know. I mean, because one of these things, they're starting to focus on drugs as, you know, as a reason why the murder happened, and that's a part of it. And supposedly, according to, we'll go straight to the top, cops investigating drug link and Jayme Closs disappearance. Somebody who has a podcast, and I think he's a former reporter and an investigator for America's Most Wanted, has his own podcast, or he was on a podcast, and he discussed this at length, that apparently meth is like the #1 public safety problem in the town of Barron, even though it's a small town of only 3,000, you know. And so, you know, they're looking at that as a potential reason for you know, why they were killed, you know. How, I don't, you know, I mean, anything I say is going to be so speculative, and it's going to be accusatory, basically saying that somehow the parents were involved in the drug trade or other things. I mean, I don't know how that would be involved. So it's tough to talk about without making accusations, you know. But that was discussed here. The guy's name is Dylan Howard, I believe, is the investigative reporter from America's Most Wanted. No, it's not. That's his podcast. But he had a guest, John Lieberman, the reporter and a former investigator for America's Most Wanted, said on the season premiere of All Rise with Dylan Howard's podcast. I don't know either, you know. I know America's Most Wanted. So there's that. And I'm sort of just kind of doing a mishmash here. But there's no way I could possibly go through all these in any great detail. Jayme Closs case break, police. That's the one I'm going to focus on. The chilling tip about the conversation with a strange man at a gas station between a woman and a strange man or something. I'll read through it. It's hard to follow. It is. So, 32 sex offenders found in Jayme Closs's tiny town. You know, basically, for a town of 3,000, the point they're making in that article, that seems like a lot. And sex trafficking, which is always comes up when there's a missing person, especially particularly a young girl or an attractive girl, you know, like Molly Tibbetts, that always comes up as a potential, you know, reason for why they're abducted, obviously. And it is here too. It's being discussed. In fact, in that podcast, they talked about a burglary gone wrong. But, you know, I think that Lieberman dispelled that notion because nothing was taken. But also the idea that, you know, some kind of burglary gone wrong, that where or hit, that went to the wrong home, you know, and as a possible, you know, reason why this happened. It is extremely odd, and the mystery just continues to grow. So, I think that's about it for the house cleaning. The search didn't turn up anything. People were making a note of talking about the fact that all the volunteers had to register themselves with photo ID, and people thought maybe the police suspected that one of the persons helping in the search would be, you know, somebody behind the abduction and somebody behind the killing of her parents. And that sheriff was actually asked about that in the press conference, and he said it was standard procedure. But, you know, that information is still, you know, I mean, it's used in the names and photo IDs of all the people that register themselves to volunteer in the search. You know, obviously that's at their disposal, and they're going to go through it and look at it. So, all right, let me cruise over to this story here. All right, so it says FBI and Hunt, after receiving a tip that a woman had a chilling conversation with a strange man during a pit stop for gas in Barron County, Wisconsin, 2 weeks before Jayme disappeared, a woman tells Radar Online exclusively. The bizarre conversation came about when her mother stopped at Cenex gas station on 1700 block of Division Avenue in Barron County, Wisconsin, following a woman's retreat. The gas station is located just a couple miles from where Jayme vanished October 15th. When she arrived, she encountered a large man in overalls eating at an A&W restaurant connected to the small town gas station. I remember A&W restaurants. I don't know if way back they used to be the ones you drive in. You know, A&W root beer. I love A&W root beer, but just anyways. So Jarek's Shrunk told Radar exclusively her mother reported it to the tip line as soon as she heard about a girl missing in Barron, which was where she had the weird encounter. She felt compelled to tell what happened because of the strange coincidence, Shrunk told Radar. She didn't say anything until she heard about Jayme. You know, I hate this area. There are just plant jobs. That's all there is. What do you think about the Jacob Wetterling case? I think I know who did it, the man allegedly said. So this is the man in overalls who had the strange encounter with the woman's mother. I think I got that right. So he said, you know, I hate this area. There are just plant jobs. That's all there is. What do you think about the Jacob Wetterling case? I think I know who did it, the man allegedly said. Quote, continuing, kids go missing and women go missing all the time. They get taken from their homes or vehicles and are never found. You never know how many bodies a person has. There could be 18 bodies buried across the country and no one would ever know it. End quote. Shrunk said the conversation sparked randomly when the man said, imagine living with that guilt, knowing that you killed someone and you can't tell anyone. Okay, so I guess he said this before saying what I just read you. I don't really know. It's hard to follow. I read it like a couple different times. Whatever, I'll continue. That's when the frightened woman ran to the gas attendant to notify them of the incident, but the two quickly took off and police were not called at the time. The two, I guess the mother and the daughter. Yeah, I think. The man my mom talked to explicitly said bodies buried across the country, Shrunk continued, noting that he even said specifically the number 18 for body count. The FBI didn't like that. The FBI asked my mom if she can remember what his voice sounded like, Shrunk continued. Her mother noticed a dark-colored SUV parked next to hers with a second man inside when the man noted, "Oh, don't worry about him." I guess the other man in the SUV said that. "Oh, don't worry about him." According to Shrunk, a local tipped her off on who her mother might have seen and showed her a photo of the car they drive. Based on the vehicle she sent me, I'm even more certain now because my mom said that is the vehicle. One of the individuals lives close by the close residence, surrounded by woods and farmland. The property was in the vicinity of the search led by police and countless volunteers today. The second individual resides in a trailer park. Radar broke the news. The FBI visited the trailer park just days after intervening in the case. And there was the trailer park. It was the I forget the I forget the name of the town. It's the town right next over. It's very close though. It's only like 5 miles, I think, from Barron, I believe. I'll look up in a sec. Radar called the gas station in an effort to uncover if the FBI obtained or seized surveillance footage pertaining to the escapee. An employee told Radar, "We are not at liberty to discuss this." However, a source close to the investigation told Radar that surveillance footage was obtained and is being used by law enforcement in the search. I believe there is now a solid timeline, the source divulged. Thousands of tips, thousands of volunteers. It only takes one tip. Radar has also reached out to the residence where the alleged person of interest lives, but their phone was disconnected, and neighbors indicated that they haven't seen them in days, noting that authorities have been visiting the home frequently with no luck. I don't want to reread through that. It's hard to follow exactly, but it is pretty crazy. I don't know exactly, how many of you who are following this case are already aware of this. It's the 23rd. It's the 27th today, so this is 3-4 days ago. But it seems to have some some meat to it. I don't know. But of all the various developments, that seemed to be the most interesting and compelling to me. So there was I know there was a trailer park that supposedly had been searched by the FBI, and I thought it was in the town immediately next over. It was at like 6th Street, which would be, this is 13th. I believe the volunteer effort was at, that's 18th, so this is 16th here. The first 100 volunteer effort, that's 17th. So this is 16th and Highway 8. It's all along Highway 8, and she lives along Highway 8, and I believe she lived somewhere in this vicinity, okay? But for some reason, the first 100-person volunteer effort was at 16th, which was here. Then the 2,000, they all met there to search along Highway 8. I don't know if they searched in that area or they just met there to go to where they were going to search. I think like when they met at that flea market location, it's not the flea market, I don't have the name up here, at 15th Street, 25th Avenue. That's 16th. That's 17th. That's it right there. I think it's 15th, which is, I don't know, man. I can't remember. I apologize, but the 2,000-person volunteer, they all met at that one location just as a place to rendezvous, process your photo ID, get registered, and so forth, and then they went on to search, I think, various locations based on where investigators wanted them to go in groups. So I thought for certain that it was at Highway 25, which I thought was at 15th Street. But I'm totally got myself confused now. That says 18th. You know what? Let me continue. All right, so, but it's just there's a town right next to this. That's 6th Street. There it is. Almena. And I think the trailer park was right at this intersection. It was Almena Court something, trailer park, at 6th Street and Highway 8. And I don't know if that's the trailer park they're talking about or not. So that's pretty much the story there. There's Highway 25. All right, and 15th Street. Thank you. Okay, so somewhere, and that was driving me absolutely crazy. I don't know. Like these numbers. See, it says 15th, but over here, you go over here and it's 16th. The numbers get all kind of jumbled up. So it wasn't me. I guess this is 18th, 17th, 16th, 15th. That makes sense. It's not jumbled up. It is me. So, but the and this is Highway 8, the rendezvous for the 2,000 volunteer search, and it was some kind of steam engine club, building that also where they have a show, an annual show, and they have flea markets, I think, are hosted there, and other events. That's where they organized the 2,000-man volunteer search. That didn't turn up anything, and that was asked about in that, as well. Like, was there any evidence found? And no, to the best of my knowledge, they're still not answering. Like, are there any suspects? And you can hear reporters. They're saying, why don't you don't have a single suspect at this point? And they're literally asking it in that way. And they wouldn't say that they don't, but the sheriff kind of said that they kind of don't, but I don't know. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Sorry for the going on and on. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I will see you in the next video. Later, man.